Well, welcome back to the Glasshouse. I thought it was time for another tour. Well, another tour. I've not done an update for a very long time. So just in no particular order, I thought let's start with the plants on the left here and work our way around. As you can see, I've got a collection of about a dozen different Aeoniums. This one is Aeonium tabuliform. I guess so named because it's very, very flat, like a table. Over the last few weeks, it has sort of raised up a little bit, and you can see the original or older leaves there starting to look like they're going over. So I'd be interested to see what happens with this one. I've not had it before, so I'd be interested to see what happens with this one. Working our way back, this is one I've grown from seed, Aeonium escobari. That's now 3 years old. Very pleased with that. Lovely colouring on the leaves with a sort of grey green blue colour, and then the pink slightly serrated edge. Next, Aeonium velour, growing very tall and not branching at the moment. I don't know whether this one does branch. Sorry, I'm picking off dead leaves as I go. Not a particularly remarkable species, I don't think, or variety, this one. Fairly typical red and green markings on the leaves. What's the next one? Aeonium glandulosum. Odd looking one, very, very tall stem. And then with a rosette on the top. That's quite pretty. There, it's getting to a point though where it's almost too tall to appreciate it when it's stood on a bench of this height. This next one, I've no idea what this is. I got this from my sister-in-law. Very tall, probably nearly 3 foot high now. And again, very pretty rosette on the top, but getting a bit dull with it just being, you know, a long stick. But I've got to go back quite a long way to get it all in. And coming down the side, Aeonium Schwarzkopf. I think this is why I don't think very much of velour, because I think this one's velour, this one's Schwarzkopf. They look almost identical to me. Aeonium pomegranate. Let me get that in focus for you. This is quite a charming one. Almost like a rosebud type arrangement with the top there, with it very closed up and very, very cup like, and quite an interesting range of markings, the balance between the red and the green there. Aeonium urbicum, not that dissimilar from Aeonium glandulosum, with those grey green leaves, which I really like, and the flush pink serrated edge to the leaf. And then finally on this table, Aeonium Madeira rose. Quite a thick, I'm trying to get in at an angle, you can see that, quite a sort of thick head there, unlike these two that are very thin. And the younger leaves are very pretty, with almost a purplish marking on them at the points, and as they mature, that sort of purplish red marking then spreads to the more of the leaf there. That's quite a pretty one, I quite like that one. Next table along, I don't remember what this one's called. I have to turn it around. Oh, that's right, yeah, Aeonium glutinosum. Sticky leaves, not very pleasant to touch. You can see a few black marks on there where things have got stuck to it. It's also had some mealybugs on it, so I've treated those, and I'll have to keep an eye and make sure nothing's come back. I think there might be a bit there. Very annoying. I guess that means I need to keep it away from the others anyway. Aeonium tricolor, I think. Is this tricolor? No, sunburst, sorry, this is Aeonium sunburst. This one here, and that's Aeonium tricolor. They're probably fairly similar in that they've got variegated leaves, and the coloration between the sort of the grey-green of the back, more the green on the new leaves, and then the creamy yellow fringe, differentiated from tricolor, slightly smaller not flower heads, rosettes of leaves, that's the word, but pink, tinged with pink on the edge. I think this is the last of the Aeoniums here. This is called Jubilee. It was sold last year at an outrageous price because of the Late Queen's Diamond Jubilee. It's alright, not that dissimilar, I would have said, to Schwarzkopf, really, not to my mind, although the centre there, the marking is very pretty. There's almost lines of purple coming up the centre, where are we, of the leaves, and that sort of typical Fibonacci-esque arrangement of the rosette. So that's my Aeonium collection. I don't think I've got any others dotted around. And then I've got largely on this side here Pelargoniums. Some of them are just sort of bulk standard garden centre reds like those there, and sort of crimson pink there. I do like that colour. Through to sort of more known species that I've got from bought from Dibley's. So what's that? Pelargonium Bembridge. I need to deadhead that, but you can see the remnants of the flowers there, very pretty sugary pink. Pelargonium Torrento. They're not doing very much. I don't think the compost I've got my Pelargoniums in is very good. I think I need to do something about that over the summer, but I haven't got time at the moment. They just don't seem to sort of grow or flourish well. I'm not sure if it's my watering regime or the soil, but I might try the soil on a few and see if that makes a difference. Pelargonium Pink Capricorn. I saw Mr. Pelargonium put a video out with his one. His was absolutely magnificent. Puts mine to absolute, my sticky or stick-like version to absolute shame. I mean, his was huge with hundreds and hundreds of flowers on. Attar of Roses there. Again, I think I've seen that on Mr. Pelargonium's videos. Both those I think are from, I was going to say Dibley's, I don't mean Dibley's, Fibrex nurseries. Beautiful scent on this leaf. I love rose scented drinks and plants and flowers, and when you rub the leaves, a beautiful scent on that. There's no label in that one, so I've no idea what that one is. Yeah, no idea. But again, I need to do a lot of work deadheading in here. Moving around, the statuesque Pelargonium Papilionaceum. I don't know if that's, you know, from the French word butterfly, meaning, you know, there's something about the plant that's butterfly-like, but as you can see, if I step back, it's about 3 foot high at the moment. It seems to be doing okay, but just very sticky. I keep saying sticky, very twig-like on the way up. Not a lot of interest low down, which doesn't matter if it's at the back of a pot, border or tray with other interest lower down, but they're all looking a bit sparse at the moment. I've got a few trailing ivy-leaved Pelargoniums, Pelargonium Fairly here. Please don't judge me for my deadheading. Pelargonium Elegant here, one of my favourites. As you can see, the different leaf forms there, with the older ones having the pinkish tinge to them. I've got 2 of those. Species Pelargonium gibosum, or I think it's a species. Really unusual flowers in that one, the greeny yellow. You don't often see that on Pelargoniums. What's that one? Red Witch, that's right. Pelargonium Red Witch. There, Pelargonium tomentosum. You can see there, it seeds itself freely, and I've actually grown, I'll show you in a minute, I've actually grown some of those from seed. Or have I? They're the ones that haven't come up. No, they have come up, those ones. A lovely firecracker type begonia. Is that a Bolivian begonia? Begonia bolivianaceae? I wintered that. I'm really, really chuffed. They obviously, they're quite what's the word? They're not frost hardy, so I kept them in the cool glass house at 5 degrees or higher over the winter. It completely dies back. I started watering in March, and it sprung up this magnificent display, so I couldn't be happy with that. It's actually in a hanging basket. Where are we? You can see the hook there, which I did have hanging up from the glass house roof, but until it starts actually hanging, until the plant starts hanging down, there's not a lot of point in being up there. Then we move on to a whole table I've got with loads of cuttings and seedlings on it, which I'll take you through. I've got half dozen cuttings of leaves from a plant called blue chalk sticks, or Cureophycoides. I can't remember what this begonia is here, but it produces bulbils that then fall to the ground and grow up as new plants in the following year. And I've dug all of these up. You can see I've lost a few there, probably 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 of them along here. Didn't survive, but the others are thriving. But they go everywhere. They fall into pots. I find them sprouting up in lots of other plant pots. Then I've got half dozen Begonia Griffin there. Then I've got some, and these are what I was saying earlier on, the seedlings from the Tomentosum. Where are we? So that's the 12th of June. I took those, and I've got some to my right here, which I'll show you in a minute. I've potted up already. These are seeds from Begonia Papilionaceum, which haven't germinated. No idea if they take a long time or whether they just don't work. Then one seedling from Pelargonium Lemon Kiss, followed by a few Tradescantia, Begonia, Corallina de Lucerna, one of my favourite begonias. They seem to do well in all lights, dim to bright, but they don't take very well to being moved quickly from one to the other. So these have been quite a long time. This is sort of south facing, so they're in bright sunlight in the glass house all the time. A few bulbils of Begonia Sutherlandii in there. They seem to take forever to come through. I'm growing some cacti and succulents from seedling. Where are we? There's some lithops, as you can see there. What's that one? Can't even say that, sorry. Plysopilios. I think the aloes have gone mouldy, the aloe seeds have gone mouldy, and those are a gift from somebody, just mixed seedlings. I've got no idea what they are till they grow. And then Echinocactus in there. I've basically got it on that, so I've got an old meat, a clean but old meat dish on top to try and keep them a bit moist. And then when they need watering, I just remove those two lower pots and drop them in. They soak a bit of water, and then I raise them up. It just saves me having to move them from there to somewhere else in the glass house and back all the time. Some Sempervivum offsets there. Then along the front here, I've got loads of agave pups. They're growing really well, he said, picking up one that didn't have good roots on. They've only been in there about 6 weeks, and most have already got a cluster of roots coming out the bottom there. So I've got loads of those. Aristata. That was from a plant given to my mum by a friend years ago. My mum didn't really like it very much, and almost left it for dead. She gave it to me. I watered it, and it came back to life, and I've had loads of pups off that. I've got loads of agave parasana offsets there, but only one agave parii offset. Just trying to get that out and see what the roots is like. Yeah, look at that. It's what a beast. I'll show you the original in a minute when I go to the cactus house next door. Random seedling of something. What's that? Cephalaria gigantea. Oh, it's saying that, I think that might be Nicotiana actually. I might have mislabeled that because the Cathalarias get very tall. I've just seen the flower on it, doesn't look like a Cathalaria flower. Anyway, some random other pups along the front, unlabeled, those ones. Then I've got a load of Gasteria flow pups, Agave Iophantha, I think. I don't know if it's Lophantha. Anyway, more Agave Parasanas here, more Agave Lopantha, and then some of the offsets from different Aeoniums I've got. This one I call Barbara, it's my sister-in-law's name, and she gave me the original one, which is behind me. I don't know what it actually is called. That's the one that's incredibly tall at the top. Sorry, incredibly tall with a very narrow plate of or rosette of leaves at the top. Some Aeoniums there, not apparently doing anything, although that one might be sprouting on the side there. I've had those for weeks and weeks, not done a thing. That is the remnants of an aloe striatula there. I don't know whether I'm going to get anything from it. I'm really upset about that. I had a really good specimen. Was told it was cold hardy, left it in the cold glass house over winter, and the cold killed it. That's all I've got left from it. Then onto Taylor's seedlings. I haven't watered these for a couple of days, so my salvias at the back there are looking a bit dry. A forest of coleus that are now going mad. Take the water off that. They're all grown from seed. That's another salvia. I think it's quite an unusual leaf shape for a salvia. It definitely is a salvia because the stems are square and the leaves have that sort of typical salvia sagey scent. This is a whole tray of seedlings, Pelargonium tomatosum, sown on, so I'm just going to clean the thing off there, the 12th of June, so just over a month old, growing really well. That's an Asiatic lily somebody at work gave me as a gift. I've just brought in here to water. And then if I go to the lower benches and work my way back, I've got three different sorts of spider plants. One has got green centre white edge, one has got white centre green edge, and one other sort is curly. I think that's called Chlorophytum boni. There's actually four sorts because the fourth sort there is just plain green. And I tend to grow these to use them for sort of bedding plants. And for actually there, can you see the curly one? How curly that is at the back there. Even the stems that the pups are on, the plant this one, are curly. That's another begonia. I think they're called Begonia boliviensis, aren't they? And that's another one, like the bright red one in the corner I showed you earlier on is isn't a hanging basket, but is not hanging enough at this stage to hang, as in the plant's not low enough to hang. I don't remember the name of this one. Little Darling, Begonia Little Darling. Although I think that's not right, the name of that. I think it's something else. I'll try and have a think. There's my big specimen of Begonia Griffin. Begonias do well under the benches. I mean, that's still, that bench there, if I can get in, still gets quite a lot of sunlight along there. But I think they value the shade a little bit. Begonia, oh, it's got the label. No idea what that one is, can't remember. That's from Dibley's. I seem to either be able to grow begonias like weeds and do really well with them, like that and that, and then others I have and they just absolutely cark it, so I don't know what I do wrong. Anyway, I've got two, I think they're Oncidium orchids there, new sprouts coming up. I've recently repotted those into, in fact lifted, divided and repotted them into bigger pots and compost, orchid compost. I can get those to flower really well, but they do get a lot of whitefly on them, which is a pain. which makes them difficult bringing into the house then. What's this one? Begonia Montgomery, is it? Marmaduke, Begonia Marmaduke. Loving its life under the bench there. A few more. Oh, I've got some oleander cuttings there. Where are we? Do I mean oleander? Yeah, oleander cuttings there. A few more begonias. What's the name of that one? Hey, it's got a long one. Let's pull it out. Begonia Odetiantha, Venezuelan form from Dibley's. Love that. And then that should be black, that one, but I think because it's under the bench in the shade, it's gone green the last few weeks. Begonia Metallica. Got a few ferns under the bench at the back there. A very large specimen of Begonia. This one, never known this one. Sophie Cecile. That's right. This here is from one plant. It all comes out of there. Loving its life here at the moment. There's a Begonia, Coryllia de Lucerna. There, that's the first begonia, not that particular plant, but that type was the first begonia I sort of fell in love with. My love of begonias has sort of grown from there. A few others under here. Where are we? Chituensis, Begonia chituensis with these huge leaves, so bigger than the size of my hand. A few other randoms there. That. Where are we? Like that. Right, what was I doing? Trying to find the name of this one. Yes, I'm slightly concerned that these pots here have been taken over by the begonias that spread by bulbils, so I'm not entirely sure that the other one, the original one, didn't die, and that's sort of been replaced. Love this one. Begonia carolinifolia. Carolinifolia, sorry. Hold it. I don't know what happened with it originally. It grew 2 or 3 very strong stems, 2 of which are there. The roots seemed to sort of die off, and they were falling out of the pot. So I just pulled them out, repotted them into there. I think they must be growing well because they've got new leaves coming up. I'm not sure whether that's one leaf there divided 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 times, or that's 6 separate leaves. I've got a feeling it might be one leaf with lots of divisions on. Anyway, I've done the rounds in here. There's a Clivia miniata there. That was an offset from someone I used to work with, who sadly since passed away. Yeah, Clivia miniata ixopo. That does flower, but I've repotted it, so it may not actually flower this autumn. You know, it might be something essentially putting roots out, but it was one single plant, one single sprout when I got it, and I've now got 2 pups on it. Brand new lime tree there. Absolute pride and joy, my Plumbago and my Bougainvillea, both of which survived the winter in here. I'm trying to go back so you can see. Are you going to focus or what? So there we go. How big they are. So they're about 6 foot high each, 2 or 3 feet wide, but they're in quite small pots. I think what I might do at the end of this season is cut them back hard, and either buy one big pot to put them in or 2 separate bigger pots to put them in. What I would love is to have this clematis netting here up over the roof, as you can see there. I think, you know, by the end of October when the frosts come and I have to put the bubble wrap up in here, you'll be able to see that I could in theory kind of grow them where I was with my fingers sort of up on the eaves of the glass house here. Okay, I'm going to pause there and start a new video in a minute because I've been watering my cacti and I want to put them back and then start videoing next door. So I'll come back in just a second. Before I do that, out of the corner of my eye, just caught caught my eye, the Rhipsallis. I bought years ago hanging basket chains with a view to making pots that hang, and I've only just done it. As you can see on this one, I've tied a wire around it as a sort of a brace, and the pot hangs in that. And I need to finish this one off. This one here, I've actually drilled holes in and use wires to hang it on. As I said, I need to do the third. I've got the hole there. I'll just get focus there. I just need to get the wire and hang it from. Right, I'll sort out this part of the glass house and then come back to you. So in the second part of the video, I thought I'd show you the part of the house where I keep the cacti. There is a division because over winter I close the door and sort of bubble wrap this part that I'm in here, but I don't bubble wrap this part here, and anything that's cold hardy just stays in here. You can see also this is the working part of the glass house. I've got loads of pots under there. I've got baskets with soil, different compost, etc. in. And this here is a little bit untidy at the moment underneath, but let's focus on the joy above. So I've got quite a few different cacti and succulents. I don't have many euphorbia, but that is a family that absolutely fascinates me, and it never ceases to amaze me, the variety of plants in there. If I remember from my degree days, the more variety there is in the family, that means the older the family is. So I think euphorbia must be a very old family of plants, because you've got succulents from you've got a range of plants from succulents like this right the way through to poinsettia. You'd never in a million years know that they were in the same family, unless potentially, I suppose, if you see the flowers. I think the flowers in plant families tend to be the most uniform across all the species. Anyway, Euphorbia horrida, which I think is far from horrible. There's a mammillaria there, a prickly pear, which if you've got one of those, you'll know they're evil. I've got another euphorbia there, Enopla there, and a few Echinopsis at the front. I've got quite a few Rubutias because I bought a few from Southfields nurseries in Lincolnshire over the last few years. Astrophytum, which I love, not only if you can get in close to the markings on it, but also that amazing starfish shape there. These tall ones here don't have a name on. I bought them from a nursery down on the Kent-Sussex border. Annoyingly, they were labelled as succulent mix or cacti mix, probably. No actual names on, so I've not been able to find them out. But they only cost me a couple of quid, and I'm fairly good with growing things on. So I bought a whole load of them, 1, 2, 3, 4. Plus some others. I think maybe that one as well. Somebody online helped me find the name for that one, which is why it's got a label in. But I bought a load of them. I think they've nearly doubled in size. So this one here, for instance, you can see the sort of the chalky markings up to this point. I think that's how big it was when I bought it, and then it's grown that much since then. And similarly, that one there, you can see there's a sort of a W-shaped green band there, and I think so that top, what is that, nearly 2 inches, has grown since I bought it last September. That was gifted to me by a friend who's into cacti as well. He took a cutting or an offset and gave it to me New Year, but again, that's really increased a lot in size since I had it. Another cheap greenhouse, cheap garden centre purchase there with no name on. Not grown that one as much as the others, interestingly. Very pretty Parodia there. I've got a thing for orange flowers, as you'll see. I'm really pleased at how I've got that to flower. And that one, is that a Rubutias? Yeah, Angelina. Yeah, 2 lovely little flowers there. I'm trying, or 2 lovely plants with lovely flowers. I'm trying not to knock my head. I've got here, they're only here to water them. They normally sit under the bench on the other side in the shade. But I've got a cutting from my Rhipsallis there, and then a few different Christmas or Easter cacti. I'm not sure. They're cuttings from friends. I'm not sure what time of the year they actually flower. So we'll find out once they've grown on a bit. But they're sat in a sort of a shallow tray of water there, just to give them some water. I've got 4 different agaves. 3 are in here. 1's out in a pot outside. And you've seen earlier on in the video the pups from these. That's agave parasana. Which one's that? Agave parii. I think that's the one where I only managed to get 1 offset from that. Agave lefantha, and you can see how many there's already, since I picked them off, more offsets coming. Crassula ovata golem, and a jade plant there I'm trying to grow as a bonsai. It has grown. I'm not really sure what to do with it next. I'm pretending it's a bonsai when even though I know it's not. A few more Echinopsis. That one there, I think, is this an Echinopsis? Oh no, Mammillaria. So that's an Echinopsis there. Mammillaria there. Rubutia apricot ice, another orange flowered Rubutia. Isn't that colour combo beautiful? The grey caused, I bet the plant underneath is green, but the grey colour caused by all the spines, and then the light orange flowers. The younger ones are darker there. Noto cactus. I can't remember if that's actually flowered now, or whether they're yet to come. I can't remember that. Another Rubutia there. That's another Lincoln, well in fact all my Rubutias are Southfields hybrids. They're often called Lincoln something, or in this case orange something, orange ice. Put that back there. There we go. Another Noto cactus. And Echinocereus that's doing its thing where it leans over. It's called Echinocereus rigidissimus. Not terribly rigid. I don't like it when they lean over, particularly because I worry about them breaking. But I'll probably do something with that over the summer. A normal Crassula ovata there. Interestingly, the branches of that sort of, for some reason, seem to splay out, and then I've got new buds coming off the top. That, no idea where I got that from. I've got a few here that are cuttings that were from my mum, which we'll come to in a minute. I'm afraid. Oh, there's the Gasteria flow, which I've got a few pups from in the glasshouse next door, which I showed you earlier. I can't think what these are called, I'm afraid. They're beautiful. You can see I've had quite a few flower spikes from them. It's getting in to take the, I hate leaving the flower spikes like that, but it's getting in to take them out without damaging their plant, the rosette. Lovely one there. There's my parent Opuntia, and a bear's paw cactus. Can't remember what that's called, I'm afraid. And a cutting from my golem plant there. I've got a few more ovatas. I don't know if they're the same. I mean, those two look the same, but those two look different from that one. So I don't know if there's different varieties. This one here is one of the ones that I got from my mum as a cutting, and she got that from my brother. So it's sort of 3rd generation, and there's another one just in there. I've got a few cacti across the top there. The obvious odd one out, Tradescantia scillamontana, I think. Is that right? Yeah. And I was told, because it's a very hairy leaf Tradescantia, that to treat this like a cactus. So I've got it up with my cacti to remind me to do that. So I'm a bit dead leaving. Dead leaves. Love that. There. Cleistocactus cristata. Can't believe how much this has grown in the last few years. I'm not always a big fan of these cristate cacti. I quite like that one though. Christmas cactus there, or Thanksgiving cactus probably. Hemanthus something. There's the paintbrush plant. It's not a very good example now, but you can probably see when it's in proper flower how the flower head looks like a paintbrush. So I think that's it really. I've got a hanging basket of an ivy leaf pelargonium there and a Tradescantia up here. this has really filled out. I can't really get it there. It's really bushy and thick, which I know Tradescantia sometimes get a bit leggy, but that seems to be doing all right. Up there, it's in the full sun, so this is south facing here, although there is no sun to face south for, so it is enjoying the full sun. But yeah, I think that's it now for the glasshouse tour. We back off out of here. Swing round. Well, I hope you enjoyed that. I certainly enjoyed taking you around, and it's good for me actually to sort of think about what I've got and where I'm at with my plants. And like many of you watching probably, the glasshouse and the garden is a bit of a retreat from the stresses of work. Anyway, well, you take care, have a good one, and I'll see you in the next video.